2019, we ran some clinics here in Lagos about curling, getting people familiar with the sport. And I think one of the main things I noticed at the clinics was that there was no current tools to really practice the sliding mechanics in curling. There wasn't a great way to replicate that feeling of sliding on the ice and getting ready to kind of release and throw the stone down the ice. And I feel like that was something that the athletes here were really missing. So when I went back to school, I did a lot of research and reached out to some other people on campus, notably Franz and Noah. And we kind of got together and we ideated thinking about how we could make something that could replicate ice. And we kind of ran through a lot of different versions of the design and eventually kind of settled on this. Hi, my name is Chris and I'm here with Franz and Noah building a dry curling aid here at the Secretariat for NCF. Right now what we're doing is we're using some irons to apply the first layer of our coating to the surface, and that will kind of act as a way to create a low friction surface. The first layer is fatty acid that's used for hardening soap, so it kind of leaves a soapy finish on the top of it. And then once we're done coating these wood sheets with that, we'll move on to applying a different fatty acid that has a slightly lower melting point. And from that, we'll be able to replicate the frictional properties of ice by creating a system that allows for a small fluidic layer to form when people are sliding across it. Yeah, so here with me are my friends and co-workers, Franz and Noah. They really helped design the training aid and help make the research possible. And it's been really great to have them here in Nigeria building the first prototype here in Africa. And I think they're just as excited as I am to see the kids using the training aid in the coming days.
So one of the important components of this project is to source all the materials locally. So everything that you see we're using here was found and purchased in Lagos. That's very important so that we can make this scalable across the world. We want to send these instructions and list of materials and equipment to other countries that are interested in doing this. So Chris and his team are going to make it available in an open source model for free so that we can expand curling across the world.
Yeah, so we just finished the first coating of our first layer we're putting down on the surface, and right now we're just going to let it kind of solidify and set on the surface so that in a little while we can come back and do a second layer before eventually putting on the final coating kind of later this evening.
Working on it since the very beginning. I was living with my partners Chris and Franz when we thought of the idea, and that was around 2 years ago, and we've the entire way been designing and building and testing. Now we finally get to bring it to Nigeria, which is wonderful, and so I've been able to come along and help out with all the construction, and so I've just kind of been involved in everything. I think it's really wonderful to be able to expand access to a sport that normally requires really cold temperatures, which obviously that's not really the norm in Nigeria, but now we can bring it to countries like Nigeria where it's a lot hotter and allow people to enjoy the sports and compete on a national level or just for fun. We really like the idea of spreading curling all around the world.
When you put your hips up, you slide. Then your your right leg will stay straight. Why this one too? It will be a little bit like this, but it has to be the same the same line with your right leg. So when you push it, you might actually just go like, but for you to stay straight, you have to be perfect at it.
This is amazing. When Chris approached me 3 years ago, I never expected we go this big, this far, and especially the last few days, seeing the kids use our prototype for the first time, seeing them slide for the first time, that really showed me that we've been successful and that it's going somewhere. I didn't know much about curling, but I knew, ice in a country like Nigeria, it's very difficult, and nobody has done it before. And I was fascinated. I just had to be involved. And I remember the first night he told me, we immediately brainstormed some ideas, looked into what could work, and I've been fascinated with the project ever since. I study physics, and I spent a lot of time thinking about how the design, trying to prototype some first smaller components, working in the machine shop. I really enjoy that. I think this project has this very nice combination of there's some very hands-on things that you have to do in the lab. You saw us working the last few days. But there's also theoretical questions about the physics of curling. We're looking at research, professors, and they don't understand how does curling work, how does the stone and the player move across the ice. So I think answering this question it's just so exciting.
We started this project in 2018 when we discussed it at first. It seems as if it's going to be mission impossible. So when we tabled it on a bigger house, we found out that it was possible. So we initiated the move by also encouraging Chris to go ahead for it, which the Nigerian Curling Federation issued a letter to that effect to his school, Stanford University. And thereafter as well, we had to, link him up with the WCF that aided him as well to, come up with this invention, and it's awesome.
It's always about aiming high and doing your best to kind of realize your dream. And I guess for us, the dream was really facilitating anyone, anywhere in the world to curl. Anyone who wanted to curl, we wanted to make sure that they had an ability to do so in the most authentic way possible. And we kind of just took all the steps to really make that happen. We talked to experts on curling, experts in engineering and physics, and really worked with everyone to get a good sense of how we could make a design that would really help realize this dream. And then obviously we've had great support from the World Curling Federation and NCF all throughout the project, getting some funding from World Curling Federation and also getting some logistics support and even some help ideating on the idea and figuring out how we could improve it from people here at NCF and on the ground here.